We did it last year, we're doing this year again. This is Tech Rewind 2021, and in Tech Rewind we go through the biggest tech news throughout the year. I'm Michelle Manuel, and welcome back to Tech Haven. So first on the bulletin, Facebook changes its name to Meta. Now if you've been paying any small attention to tech news, I'm sure you've definitely heard of the Metaverse. A lot of tech futurists like to think of the Metaverse as the next stage in the internet's history. It's basically like social media but with your own avatar, and you could do almost anything you want to do. If you play the Sims game, that's another way of understanding how the Metaverse is. But this time, it's not just a game, it's basically a virtual world where people can do so many different things for entertainment and even for serious business. And the way this happens is through virtual reality. I explain what virtual reality is in one of our videos right here. So just like the movie Ready Player One, you can sort of transport your consciousness into the virtual world. So Facebook wants to be a pioneer of these things and wants to push more people. So Mark Zuckerberg has decided to create a parent company called Facebook and call it Meta. So Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp are under the parent company called Meta. Next up, we have Apple's right to repair. So as most of you know, Apple products are not easy to repair at all. In fact, Apple intentionally does this so people cannot get into their phones and laptops and modify the stuff to their liking. It's almost impossible to modify at certain situations. But all this is to make the Apple experience consistent with everybody, and this seems fair on Apple's part. So some people also argue some other things like Apple official repair services are not everywhere, and in fact they are not in so many places. So if you have a small problem with your laptop or your phone, what should you do? Should you throw the phone away, or should you travel all the way to another city or another country just to repair just a small fault? Like, you can see where they're coming from. So also, there are also a lot of third-party repair shops that gain income from fixing faulty devices. Apple restricting this repair also restricts their source of income. And as someone who has put a lot of effort into learning how to repair minor faulty problems, this will be very frustrating and annoying. Also, it's to the benefit of the environment. Imagine if you have a small fault in your phone and because of that you have to throw your phone away entirely. That will create so much e-waste and it's definitely not good for the environment. So yeah, Apple finally announced that it will start selling repair parts and tools directly to customers, and this will help third-party repair shops to make some gains as well as all the other advantages that come with right to repair. Next up, we have Apple's M1 and M1 Pro. Apple has finally released their custom-made power chip for their MacBooks in the M1 Max and the M1 Pro. And the laptops they come in have been some of the most powerful laptops this year has ever seen. And it has been some of the most powerful laptops this year has seen. And it's definitely the most power efficient chip for the year, having the highest efficiency to performance ratio that I've ever seen on a device. It's one huge for laptop performance, I believe. And the other companies should take a cue from this if they can. In the same light, Google has also made their first all Google phone. Everything from the software, which is Android, to the hardware, which is the chip and the phone itself, is now made by Google. In the past, Google used to make the phone hardware, which is the physical phone that you see, and also Android. But they used to source the processor from Qualcomm, which produces processors for many of the Android phones like Samsung and OnePlus and all the rest. But now Google has joined the independent pact and is now making their own chips called the Tensor, which has also shown impressive performance throughout the years. Now for some sad news. LG has shut down their mobile division. So LG is no more making phones that are going to be sold on the market. Like, they have closed down their mobile division. Unfortunately, I saw this coming some years ago. I think I even mentioned in one of our videos. But LG was not making good phones. They were making good phones, they're not making great phones, right? In the past 4 years, there has been no innovation in their phones. And everything new thing that they tried was either gimmicky or unfinished. But giving credit where credit is due, LG was the first one to introduce an ultra-wide camera, which is used in almost every single multi-camera phone today that you see. So Apple's, or all of Samsung, all of their multi-camera, if it has a wide angle, it starts from LG. And so RIP LG Mobile. And as you know, LG is not far from there. They make TVs, home appliances, fridges, so many different things. So they're still in the game. Next up, we have WhatsApp privacy policy, and WhatsApp updated their privacy policy this year, which created a lot of controversy. I'm not going to talk so much about it because I made a whole video about it. So if you want to know more about it, just click in one of these corners. Next up is the Facebook shutdown. On the 4th of October, Facebook suffered a global outage which affected Facebook and its apps like WhatsApp and Instagram. Users could not send and receive messages, check their feed, or do anything at all, leaving users stranded with Twitter as their only option for social media. The outage also affected Facebook employees as they could not communicate with their internal version of the social network. This also prevented some employees from accessing company buildings and conference rooms with their badges. Thankfully, the outage was not due to a cyber attack and there was no evidence that user data was compromised. They said the outage was due to some internal DNS issues, blah blah blah, and lasted about 6 to 7 hours before the service were back online. During the outage, Facebook stock prices dropped by 5% and Mark Zuckerberg's personal wealth dropped by 6 billion. 6 billion. On the 20th of July, Blue Origin, which is a private space flight company founded by Jeff Bezos, launched its first commercial space flight made up of himself, Jeff Bezos, and the female aviator Wally Funk and Oliver Damian, the youngest person to also visit space. This launch was to mark Blue Origin's first entry into commercial space tourism, which means it's now competing against Virgin Galactic and SpaceX, two other space flight companies and competitors as well. Next up, we have the global chip making manufacturing going down this year, the global chip shortage. Now, if you followed any of the news, you realize that there's been a lot of complaints that there are no chips processors available for most of the devices, so the prices have gone up. So why did this start? Basically, it's one of the many effects of the pandemic. As you know, the pandemic started from some regions in Asia, and so since Asia was also one of the hubs for manufacturing chips and semiconductors, it was kind of contradictory and they couldn't produce the chip because they had to lock down as well and stuff. So that caused the production of the chips to the manufacturers elsewhere very hard. So they couldn't produce enough to send to the other places. But then also the demand was going up because there are a lot of devices that are being made. And so as the demand for the chips went up and the supply couldn't be met, it created a whole lot of intricacies, and then there was the shortage and a lot of devices could not get enough devices to supply to the other parts of the world. So that was about the global chip shortage. So next up, we have an interesting one, OnlyFans. If you know OnlyFans, you know what it is. OnlyFans at the point in time during the year decided that they would start banning explicit content. Explicit content. Which, I mean, you could see why, but at the same time you wonder, won't that collapse the app? Anyway, they took back their decision in a few days, but it was an interesting conversation to have anyway. Next up, we have Epic versus Apple. Both sides lost the court case, which is very diplomatic. If you remember last year's Tech Rewind, I mentioned that Epic and Apple had a court case on the taxes Apple collect from app developers for any purchase made inside any of the apps from the App Store. Now, Epic was saying this is unfair. The percentage that Apple takes is unfair. And Apple is saying, but this is our policy. We set our rules. We do everything. So the judge ruled against the two of them. Although if you analyze the court case really, you will see that Apple won most of the argument. But the judge concluded that Apple was unfairly monopolizing the mobile app space with iOS and their in-app purchasing system. And she also ordered Epic to pay damages for violating the developer agreement with Fortnite and the ones that Apple also set. At the same time, she also ordered Apple to remove any anti-steering rules, which are the restrictions that stop developers from telling users about the alternative ways to make in-app purchases. This verdict seems to be very fair, and I think Judge Yvonne Gonzalez, I'll just put it down there, did very well in her ruling. Next up, we have Windows 11. Another exciting news that emerged this year was the Windows 11. Since Windows 8, it's been a while since Windows received a complete update and a drastic change to the operating systems. The new Windows 11 features an amazing, sleek, minimal design that's generally aesthetically pleasing to look at. It also comes packed with a ton of features like widgets, Microsoft Teams integration, and a better desktop support, just to name a few. As a whole, Windows 11 seems to be amazing and prioritizes comfortability. The only downside is that some people may need to upgrade their machines before they be able to enjoy the new operating system that they provide, which is the Windows 11. Next up, we have FaceTime on Android. For all the Android users that felt like WhatsApp video call wasn't enough and wanted FaceTime for your iOS friends, I guess now you can use your browser if you want. I don't know why you want that anyway. So if you want to join your friends do a FaceTime call, you can now join them using the browser. Next up, we have NFTs. Now, if you've been on Twitter or Instagram recently, you have definitely heard about NFTs. They are called non-fungible tokens. I'm sure I've butchered the name, but we move. NFTs are simply digital artworks with unique codes, like special one-of-one pictures that you can own, or it can be music or videos. It's like special digital art. Now, these pictures can be stored on the public blockchain, which is an online database that stores information. So what people do is people bid online using cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the artwork goes to the highest bidder. Most of these pictures are online and can be screenshotted. So but I think it's like printing. If you print the original picture of Mona Lisa, it's still not the original Mona Lisa. So that's what people say. Like if I own a picture, even if you have a screenshot of it, it's still not the original picture. So that's the reason a lot of people are investing into NFT. For example, if you have an NFT that goes for 1 Bitcoin, and 1 Bitcoin is 100 cedis today, in a few years, if 1 Bitcoin becomes 1,000 cedis, your value of the NFT goes up. So your artwork goes up. And that's what the craze of the NFT is all about. But that's what the news is saying. What do I think? Me personally, I think that I think it's weird. I mean, yeah, I get the idea that you can own a picture, but the picture, you can only publish it online. It's an online thing. It's a virtual thing. You can't touch it. Like paintings, you can have a painting on the wall in your house, one of one. But digital artwork, no matter what it is, you own it, fine. Everybody knows you own it, but it's still online. Everybody can have it. Honestly, maybe I don't appreciate it, but whatever. So next up, we have the James Webb Telescope. The James Webb Telescope is the most advanced telescope built by NASA and other space agencies. The telescope is said to be the most powerful telescope ever built by man. And considering what the Hubble has achieved over its lifetime, this is insane. It will look deeper into the universe, giving us insight on what we have barely seen in space. It's crazy, and the tech on board is also like wow. You should maybe read on it on yourself, but it's crazy. And then they've actually been working on it for the past 30 years. And it costs billions of dollars. And if you consider the fact that they started building it right after they launched the Hubble Space Telescope, you can see a lot of work has gone into it. And hopefully, even though it's expensive, maybe we'll be able to see into our future. But one interesting fact about it is that if you know how light travels, you know, the sun we see right now on Earth is actually 8 minutes late. So the light, because light takes about 8 minutes from the sun to get to the Earth. So the sun that we are seeing right now is 8 minutes late. How about if things were very, very far away? Having a telescope that is extremely powerful, maybe not this one, but a very extremely powerful telescope, it will be able to see the way some universe formed in the past, since every light reaching us is already old, it's already happened in the past, it's already late to come here. So we'll be able to see the past of certain planets that are far away. I know I'm reaching, but this is an idea I got whilst I was thinking about it. So yeah, that's been it. This has been the Tech Rewind for 2021. I hope you enjoyed the video. A lot of things have changed during the year, and every year I promise that we'll make more videos, but we don't. But this year in particular, a lot of things have changed. Maybe you can see it visually, maybe you can't, but a lot of things have changed. And 2022, we are going to push hard. Now, 2022 there, Martins. So if you enjoyed this video, please share with friends and family, share with your grandmother, your grandfather, your babies, your children, everybody to watch it. Tech is universal, everybody uses tech. And let's help build a tech-based Africa together. I'm Michelle Manuel, thank you for watching, and see you 2022.